My name is Nadeline. I am Paul's campaign manager for this election season. I am very happy and honored to be in this position, and I want to thank everybody again for coming out today and to stand in support of Paul. And I'm going to hand it over to Wayne Cox. He's going to speak now on, he's an investigator from the District Attorney's Office.
Many times in my career I've been exposed to law enforcement officials that were entrenched in the old way of doing business, with no real interest in the communities that were changing around them. Officials that refused to consider different ways of accomplishing our law enforcement goals and uninterested in fresh ideas brought forth by other people in the organization. Quite simply, that doesn't very accurately describe Paul. Having the opportunity to work closely with him has been refreshing and highly rewarding, both personally and professionally. As a tight-knit team, the District Attorney's Office has accomplished great things, including the cases against Paul Jasnos, Andy Ballant, Dave Gunderson, and Steve Hash, some of the most vicious and heartless predators in our community. Because of our efforts and Paul's direction and leadership, they are now being held accountable for their actions, as are countless other felons that have been convicted during Paul's tenure as the District Attorney. At the conclusion of the investigation and successful prosecution of Steve Hash, the man responsible for the 1990 killing of Curtis Hunsinger, Paul credited our team's success to, quote, a new set of eyes looking at an old problem. While that may have been true about that investigation, Paul is no longer the new set of eyes. He is firmly established and widely respected by his colleagues and has successfully led the DA's office through difficult, tumultuous times. He has proven himself to be the best man for the job and has my unequivocal and full support in his reelection bid. On June 8th, vote Paul.
I wanted to share a quick conversation that I had this morning. I spoke to District Attorney Michael Harper from the Trinity County office, and he was giving out an endorsement for Paul, and he wanted me to read this quote. He said, "Paul Gallegos is a good man and a good district attorney. He is not only a leader in Humboldt County, but all of the North Coast. He has the people's best interest at heart and is trying to do the right thing for Humboldt County. The citizens are lucky to have Paul as their DA." And it's not just Trinity County that has given him his endorsement. The district attorneys from Butte, Yuba, and Del Norte have also endorsed Paul as the district attorney for Humboldt County. And now I'd like to turn it over to our former state assemblywoman, Patty Berg. She is a good friend to the Gallegos campaign and a good person to the people of the North Coast. We're honored to have her here.
I'm very pleased to be here today as we gather here to support our District Attorney, Paul Gallegos. When Paul first ran for the office in 2002, he promised he would do what's right, even if it involved making unpopular decisions. So here we are 8 years later, and I believe that Paul has proven himself to be effective, courageous, and independent. He has shaped the District Attorney's Office to reflect the values of the people that he serves and has built a 21st century District Attorney's Office of which we can all be very proud. I can honestly say that Paul has grown into the office and that the office has continued to grow and both in stature and in success. And folks here are better off because of it. As one who takes great stock in a person's word, Paul Gallegos has delivered on that promise. No one is above the law. When Blue Lake Chief of Police was involved in criminal behavior, it fell upon Paul to bring him to justice. It is no wonder that the District Attorney's Office in so many of our neighboring counties are endorsing Paul, and they want him to continue on as our District Attorney here in Humboldt. Paul knows that it's his job to stand up for all of the people of Humboldt County. And I just so appreciate that. And now isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we want? And isn't that what we need from our Chief Law Enforcement Officer, and I think you can all applaud with that one. Paul is someone who stands up for all of us, for our children, for vulnerable senior citizens, for victims, and for the families of victims. By appearing in the courtroom, Paul leads the office from in front, not from behind. He leads by example. I'll tell you, it's a real great comfort to me to know that this courageous attorney, Paul Gallegos, is working on our side, defending us, protecting us, and securing our justice for crimes that are committed against us. He is a very effective leader, and I am proud to endorse him for re-election, and even prouder to introduce him to all of you here today. My dear friend, Paul Gallegos.
8 years ago, we worked to reinvent Humboldt County politics by encouraging, energizing, and empowering the people of Humboldt County to envision and to work for a common goal of government that serves all of the people and not just some. Since that time, I have been working to reinvent and have reinvented the Humboldt County District Attorney's Office by encouraging, energizing, and empowering the people of our office to create an office that represents all of the people of Humboldt County and not some of them, that leads from the front, that creates a work ethic by having a work ethic, that works for solutions and opportunities in adversity, that constantly seeks new ways to solve the never-ending challenges that we are faced with every day. For we will only be a leader if we take a leadership role, and we have done that. Despite budget cuts and reduced staff, we have strived and have done more with less. We have worked to make the Humboldt County District Attorney's Office a leader not only in Humboldt County, but in the entire North Coast. We have worked to create a Humboldt County District Attorney's Office that seeks justice, not vengeance. For in my eyes, justice is the highest goal of mankind. When this campaign began, a friend of mine asked me, what is justice? That's how we started a conversation we had, and I told him that justice is many things. And on more reflection, I've thought that in its simplest form, it's compassion without sentimentality, it's wisdom without cleverness, and it's courage without recklessness. It's a dream that we must strive to keep in our minds, both in our waking and our sleeping hours, and it must always be our goal, and it is. So here I am once again asking for your support, your sacrifice, your labor, and reminding you that we have been here before. Many of you probably think too often. We have been challenged every step of the way, but we have never given up, we have never given in, and we have never backed up. Because it's the future, not the past, that we look to for salvation. And we have never backed down, and we never will, because while a ship in harbor is safe, that's not what ships are for. Finally, after battling back the recall, I told you, many of you that are here today, we're at the Lost Coast, and I told you that Gandhi said there are 7 sins that we must work tirelessly to end. Wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, worship without sacrifice, and politics without principle. I ask you once again to join me in this work, and I thank you all for being here.